than 700,000 UK nationals living in Europe will not be able to vote in the UK's general election. A controversial law means Britons lose their right to vote in UK elections after 15 years overseas. That's despite the fact that many see the poll as a Brexit election, which could affect their futures. Well, for more, Euronews reporter Victoria Smith joins me in the studio. Morning to you, Victoria.
Morning, Rosie.
So hundreds of thousands of Britons fall into that category. They've been living outside of the UK for over 15 years. They can no longer vote. Why is that and what's the rule?
Well, we're talking about a lot of expats here. We're talking about more than 60% of all British emigrants now in EU countries, and a law that disenfranchises them if they've lived in those countries for more than 15 years, a law that has caused controversy with demands for it to change. Now, when we think of British expats, we might be guilty of thinking perhaps of that stereotype of patriotic pensioners on the Costa Brava, or perhaps families setting up in the Dordogne, their place in the sun. But we'd be wrong to think of them in that way, because in this case, we're talking about more than 80% of British expats who are professionals. They're of working age. These may well be people with young families who want to come back in the future, who want to bring their skill set back to the UK.
Well, let's speak now to one of those so-called disenfranchised voters. Carrie Fraser is a British national who's been living in Barcelona for 16 years, who joins us now live. Morning to you, Carrie. So talk me through where you can and where you can't vote, because you're able to vote in the Brexit referendum, but you're not going to be able to vote this coming week. So how do you feel about that?
Extremely frustrated, although to be honest, if I could vote, I wouldn't know who to vote for anyway, so it's a bit of a relief not having that choice. But I can't vote in Spain either, so I'm completely disenfranchised. So I moved to Spain in 2003, so last year I lost my right to vote in the UK, and unless I renege my British passport and become a Spanish national, I can't vote in Spanish elections either. I can just vote in Spanish local elections. So yeah, we're in a very frustrating position here.
Do you think it's fair that you don't have a say on what's being dubbed the Brexit election?
Well, extremely unfair. I mean, obviously, I had my chance in the 2016 referendum, and a lot of people didn't have that chance because they weren't aware of the importance of it, or they sent a post vote and it arrived late, and they didn't really see the significance of it. And now, a lot of my British friends who are living out in Spain here feel extremely frustrated. They weren't able to have their say because actually they could have swayed the outcome of the vote if all the all the British expats living in the EU had voted in that referendum. So, yeah, an extremely frustrating situation.
Carrie, the counter-argument to this is that it's been 16 years that you haven't been living in the UK. Yeah. So do you deserve a right to vote on a country that you're not living in and haven't done for a long time now?
Well, I did live in that country for around 35 years, so I do feel that having paid taxes and contributed during that time, I should be allowed to vote. Also, my children are British, so, their future at the moment is here in Spain, but at one stage they may want to go back and live in Britain. And likewise, we may want to go back and live in Britain. So, what's really frustrating about the whole situation as well, I count myself as a European citizen after being a British citizen, but although I think now that feeling of being European, it has superseded being British. And we live here, we're good examples, I think, of understanding and appreciating and loving really everything about Europe. And I feel that, as time goes by and should Brexit happen, more and more British people won't appreciate that, and they won't have the opportunities that I had, doing Erasmus schemes, being able to work and live in 26 different countries in the EU, and not being able to have a say in that and to be able to be British and to have been able to experience that has been fantastic.
Carrie, really good to talk to you. Thank you very much. Carrie Fraser, British national who's been living in Barcelona for 16 years. Victoria, let's talk about that, because for Carrie, let's look at the party manifestos. What do they say about those British people who are expats living abroad? How will those different parties impact the lives of people like Carrie?
Well, good question. There are very different responses coming from the party's manifesto. So the Conservatives, they've promised twice before to scrap this 15-year rule. They haven't delivered on that yet. They're making that promise again ahead of this election to give the right to vote for life for UK expats like Carrie. By contrast, Labour doesn't have a manifesto commitment to expats about their voting rights, but they do say they will ensure that pensions of UK citizens living abroad will match pensions of those who are resident in the UK. And the Lib Dems, they promise to enable all UK expats living abroad to be able to vote for MPs in the UK and to take part in UK referendums.
Victoria Smith, Euronews journalist, thank you very much.